Hello and welcome to race number 21 of 29 here in the 1990 throwbacks, and it's still a four-man race for the title. Elliott, Kulwicki, Richmond, Bodine, all within 80 points of each other. None of these drivers gave an inch during the Bristol race. All four of them finished inside of the top 10. This championship battle is not going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, we still have a possibility of having a champion with 0 wins, and I think that's amazing. I mean, if you can win a championship without a win, you have done something unbelievably correct. Anyways, here from Darlington, it's the last of the Winston Million races, the oldest race on the NASCAR schedule, the Southern 500. Darrell Waltrip, Mark Martin, and Ernie Irvan are all given an opportunity to win $100,000 today if they do win the race. Taking a look at the qualifying order, it looks like Dale Earnhardt, the man in black, is going to be on the pole, which I don't think should come to any surprise from people who have watched a lot of Darlington races. This is one of Earnhardt's more favorite tracks. Taking you through the top 10 here in the starting order. Earnhardt, of course, on the pole. Jeff Bodine is in second. Mark Martin will roll off third. Points leader Bill Elliott in fourth. Ernie Irvan, who's had a 2-win season this year so far, he will roll off fifth. And Darrell Waltrip, another one of those Winston Million contenders, he will roll off sixth. Rusty Wallace, who's really had an up and down season, 3 wins but 4 DNFs, he will roll off in the 7th position. Alan Kulwicki, the current wins leader, will roll off 8th. Sterling Marlin, another driver who's been up and down, he will roll off in the 9th position. And Terry Labonte will roll off in 10th. Here is the command for today's race. Cars are going to fire up here on the banks of turns 3 and 4. Turns 3 and 4, they are, of course, the wider, longer corners. Turns 1 and 2, they are the sharper of the turns here at Darlington. It's a very not wide racing surface. Changing of corner radius. And green flag is out, so the egg shape here at Darlington will probably play a significant factor. Earnhardt gets a huge advantage off the start. In fact, the entire inside line is going to get an advantage, and Mark Martin's going to try to cross over Earnhardt coming off of turn 2. Martin's going to grab the lead after turn 2, and here comes Irvan. He's going to try to take over the 2nd position. So neither of the leaders got off to a good start. Earnhardt isn't even going to win lead, lap number 1 rather. That will go to Mark Martin. Now Dale Jarrett fell off the pace right on the start. He's going to be coming down pit road. I believe he is pitting on the back straightaway today. Meanwhile, trying to pull away is Mark Martin, and now Earnhardt can't seem to find a good rhythm going here. And here's Jeff Bodine. He's currently the highest of all the 4 championship contenders right now. And you take a look at people that are currently in the top 4. Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, all those guys have had really disappointing seasons. Ernie Irvan's had a really good breakout season. Probably going to get a top 10 points finish here. And now here comes Tim Richmond. He's going to try to get around Bodine. Richmond will he clear him for 5th? Yes, he will. So a good move there by Tim Richmond will get him the 5th position. Meanwhile, Mark Martin is just sailing out front. Ernie Irvan trying to keep the man in black, Dale Earnhardt, behind him. Earnhardt's not going to tolerate that for too long. Three-time champion of the series. Meanwhile, Ernie Irvan has won 2 races this season. So much for being three. Yeah, hold off a 3-time champion when you got 2 wins to your name, and Earnhardt has over 40. I believe it actually has exactly 40. So you gotta realize how hard it is and how much pressure a driver like Irvan is underneath when they have a really strong championship contender behind him. And I think the only reason why Irvan's holding him off right now is because Earnhardt knows if he goes underneath Irvan, he's probably going to get passed by Wallace. Now here comes Wallace down to the inside off of turn 4, I believe. Yep. And going into turn 1, that might be a big loss to Earnhardt. Really hard to hold the outside lane through turns 1 and 2. They are the sharper of the 2 corners. Earnhardt's going to fall back, and now Wallace gets underneath Irvan. Here goes Wallace and Richmond. They're going to try to get around Irvan. Richmond's going to try to cross the 4 over, try to get a good run here off of turn number 4. It looks like he will. So Wallace to 2nd, Richmond to 3rd, Earnhardt to 4th, and Irvan to 5th. Meanwhile, Richmond's going to go for 2nd. He gets underneath Wallace. But the outside line works a lot better in turns 3 and 4 than it does in turn 1 and 2. Still don't think that's going to be enough. Richmond's going to clear him by the time they get into turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, all this battling here between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position. Mark Martin's just loving this. He's opened up a lead to about a 2nd. Wallace and Richmond are still battling back there. And now this has allowed the 11 of Jeff Bodine to be able to pull up to this battle. Yeah, you can't be battling side by side for too long here at Darlington. You'll run your tires out really quickly, and tires are so crucial at this track. Very similar to Rockingham, this track just eats the tires up. Sterling Marlin, he's staying in the top 10, so Marlin's looking like he's going to have a good day. Same thing with Allison. 2 drivers that really needed to make a statement today. Looks like they're going to be able to. Here comes Earnhardt down to the inside of Richmond. That's for the 3rd position. And if Richmond can't come down, it looks like both Irvan and Bodine will be able to get around him too. There goes Irvan. Will Bodine be able to get there as well? I believe so. Yeah, this is a long race, and you might as well just play give or take, and that's what Richmond's going to do. He's going to let the 11 go. And this is kind of scary. This is kind of scary because the 11 has always seemed to run terribly during the middle of the race. So if this is how the 11's running during the middle of the race, imagine where they're going to be at the finish. They're probably going to be battling for... Where did Elliott come from? I just noticed Elliott just popped up out of nowhere. He gets around Tim Richmond. Where in the world did Elliott come from? Elliott's got to be flying around the track. Just the previous lap, he was behind Waltrip, and now all of a sudden he's around Richmond. Meanwhile, we take a look at the 3 leaders battling for position here. Of course, all these guys have been in the league for a considerable amount of time, at least since the beginning of the 80s. Meanwhile, the other championship contender, Kulwicki, he has really slipped back from the start of the race. He is struggling here from Darlington, currently in the 16th position. So Kulwicki struggling early on. Meanwhile, they've caught Martin for the lead. Martin's going to go way, way, way back. New leader, Rusty Wallace, as he's going to continue to lead laps. He's led more laps this season than any other driver. He's led in more races this season than any other driver. Yet he's only 8th in the points. And that's really contributed to just how much of an up and down season Rusty Wallace has had. He's had a lot of really poor finishes as Irvan goes into second. And Irvan might be able to get enough of a run to go for the lead. Here he goes. He dives underneath the 27 off of turn 2. Will that be enough? Yes, it will. Irvan to the lead. Man, Darlington's such a fun race to watch. Here comes Bodine. He's going to try to sneak underneath Earnhardt. He can't get there. Yeah, he thought it was just better to let Earnhardt go into turns 1 and 2 there, and that was probably for the best. That is a really difficult... That is a corner where you will really use up your stuff to try to make a pass like that. And you really don't want to do that. I mean, this is only lap 16. You don't want to blow through your tires. Yeah, blowing through your tires is not a recommended strategy at this track. This is a very, very difficult course. And here comes Rusty Wallace down to the bottom now. And he can't get there. So I think we're starting to get to the point here where the drivers are really starting to feel the effects of tire wear, and indeed they are. And now here comes Wallace to the bottom. Crossover move off of turn 4. Should net him the lead. Mark Martin wants his lead back. He's trying to get up there. Meanwhile, this battle has some championship implications to it. Bodine trying to hold off Elliott for 5th. He'll do so. Now here comes Terry Labonte. He might try to get underneath Elliott for 6th. That's a pretty daring move if he can pull it off. Doesn't look like he's interested in doing so. Taking a look at these lap times, they have fallen off a full 10 miles an hour since the race has begun. Here comes Bodine to the inside of Earnhardt. This time, can he make the pass? Earnhardt's not gonna... Yeah, he's still there. Bodine is still there. Side by side off of turn 4. Bodine makes the pass. He moves into 4th. Also, Terry Labonte makes the pass on Bill Elliott. So Labonte will move into 6th. Elliott back to 7th. Can this finally be the race that Jeff Bodine wins this season? I don't want to say that Jeff Bodine is going to win a race. If this team wins a race, they might catch fire and run away with the championship. That's something you've got to consider here, because this 11 team is just way too strong. And they've been overpowered quite a bit this season. Meanwhile, a lap traffic in the form of J.D. McDuffie is going to hold up the 27. How's this going to affect the lead battle? Well, Irvan's caught right back up. Richmond's getting underneath Bill Elliott now. That's the battle for 7th. And it's starting to get really hard to make an effective pass here at Darlington. The tires just wear out so quickly. Meanwhile, going back up to the front. Everyone's pretty much in a single file formation, 1st to 8th, nose to tail. And not for long. Irvan tries to pull out. Labonte tries to pull out. No dice. And now Wallace pulls away a little bit. Irvan looks to the bottom of Martin. Can't get the job done. Not going to make the pass. Gotta say, right now, this is the best that I've seen the 6 car in quite a while. Mark Martin was coming into this season hoping to go for a championship. That championship's not going to be coming to him this year. Unfortunately, might happen next year. Who knows? But, hey, Martin's still been decently consistent. He can still make an interesting run for the championship. He's only 240 points out, I believe. So he's not too far out. Meanwhile, Jeff Bodine, he's stuck on the outside. He's going to lose 2 spots here. He'll lose the spot to Earnhardt. He'll lose the spot to Labonte. He'll lose the spot to Richmond. And he'll lose a spot to Elliott. That is 4 positions lost. Oh, boy. Jeff Bodine just went from being in control and looking like he's going to gain a ton of points on the leader to all of a sudden not gaining anything. And the best championship contender right now, this should definitely be noted, the best championship contender right now is running 6th, and that's Tim Richmond. I mean, this is a noted comparison to the last 2 years with 88, where Earnhardt, Wallace, Richmond, and Elliott were 1, 2, 3, 4 majority of the damn races. And in 1989, it was just Elliott and Richmond who had the better car, and it was more often than not Richmond had the better car, but Elliott was just crafty and he was able to get stuff done. Rusty Wallace continues to lead here from Darlington. And again, we just can't overstate this. This team has just had a bad break after bad break. A lot of 42nd place finishes, a lot of 40th place finishes, some 35th place finishes. This team has just been massively inconsistent from the get-go because they got 3 wins. They got the wins. And whenever they perform well, they look like a serious championship contender. And every single time we come here, it looks like, you know, Wallace should be a championship contender, but something happens by the time the race ends that takes Wallace out of competition. And it's just crazy. Yeah, the bad luck that has happened with the 27 crew has just been awful. Meanwhile, battle for second. Terry Labonte trying to take it from Martin. Martin will defend. Will Irvan be able to put a crossover on him? Nope. Richmond will finally be able to get around Earnhardt. Meanwhile, Bodine's been able to pick off position from Elliott, and here he's going to try to pick off Earnhardt. He'll do that pretty successfully. I gotta tell you what, this 11 car is fast. He's able to get around the 25 now. That was a hell of a move. Look at the fastest lap chart. That is interesting, to say the least. None of these guys are even, like, Bodine's 12th on the board, and he looks like to be one of the fastest cars on the track. He is definitely not the 12th fastest car. Yeah, he's... Clearly it shows you that if you got a car hooked up with some good long run speed, that is usually optimal here at Darlington. And your leader right now, Rusty Wallace, has got the most dominant car on the long run. Darlington, you either have no cautions or a lot of cautions, and that's the way it is. And this is going to be a race that doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of cautions. And that's how they're going to have to race today, is that they're going to have to presume that there's not going to be a lot of cautions today. Darlington can definitely be a wild card race. We've had Wreckfest Darlington races before. We've had caution-free Darlington races before. So you really never know what's going to happen here from Darlington. Absolutely not. Rusty Wallace, your leader, he's going to be catching up to some lap traffic. Still a battle for second going on. And I really kind of want to focus in on this battle, because this is the battle that means the most for points. This is the battle that means the most for points. You got Jeff Bodine. Here we go. Elliott's going to get underneath Jeff Bodine here. Bodine's going to try to hold him off. I think Elliott's going to go by. He should be more concerned with holding Earnhardt off, and he will. And we actually got some leaders coming down pit road, including the leader of the 27. So hand the lead over to Irvan. So right now, this is the battle for points. Elliott is your points leader. Jeff Bodine, he's fourth in points, 80 points back. I mean, it'll only be a 5-point game, but those 5 points can mean quite a lot in a season. We know how much those 5 points can mean. The championship last year was decided by just 2 points. So every single point matters. And a driver that's not been in contention today, Alan Kulwicki, he's just been way off. See if anybody opts to take those bonus points. And I think Hutch Strickland's going to be one of them. Looks like Hutch Strickland's going to stay out. No, I think he might just be pitting on the back stretch. Yep. And he's not going to get the 5 bonus points. Maybe Jarrett will, though. No, not Jarrett. So I guess we'll just follow Rusty Wallace around the track. Kind of seems to me that Wallace had a bit of a sluggish pit stop. That 5 car is a lot closer to him than it was before, so we'll see what happens. I mean, not Cale Yarbrough, but Dick Trickle is holding up Terry Labonte back there. See if that changes anything. Yeah, right now it's the 27th. He's in the lead by a lot. Meanwhile, you want to talk about some good battles this season. Here's Rob Moroso and Chad Little. They have been battling tooth and nail, back and forth this season. And they're just 2 young drivers. Rob Moroso, of course, a rookie. Chad Little, a sophomore. And they're trying to prove themselves in this series. Of course, Rob Moroso was the Busch Series champion last year. And Chad Little is just, well, Chad Little. And there's really not much notoriety to his name. Now, the last time that a Busch Series champion came up to the Cup Series to drive an Oldsmobile would be Larry Pearson. And I don't want to say that he flopped, but he didn't do anything special for that team either. So this is always an interesting battle when these 2 guys get together on the track. It's almost like they elevate each other's game. And the caution flag will wave. And it looks like there's been a wreck on the back straightaway. So that'll be the first caution today here from Darlington. So we're not going to go caution free today. And it looks like, oh no, it's Irvan. That really sucks, because Irvan was having such a good day. Probably wasn't going to get win number 3, but he's been having such a good day. See what happened here. He tried to sneak into the inside of Allison, didn't get him, and Tim Richmond T-boned him. A really tough break. Doesn't look like that the damages are extremely significant on any of the cars, but right now Rusty Wallace is poised to get win number 4 on the year, despite his unfortunate lack of luck. Yeah, but there have been times where this has happened before. I mean, it's not every single time that a driver wins a race and then wins, you know, the most races in the year and wins a championship. So what it takes to look like. Rusty Wallace is going, he's the leader. And then you've got Terry Labonte in second, Mark Martin in third, Bill Elliott in fourth. Ken Schrader is in fifth. Ken Schrader's had a very underwhelming season to this point. That team's got to be disappointed. Ricky Rudd sixth, Sterling Marlin seventh, Darrell Waltrip 8th. Phil Parsons looking for back-to-back top 10s for the first time in a while. He's in 9th. And Morgan Shepherd's also up here in the 10th position. And I think this is really the first time we've seen the 11 car actually fade after the first round of pit stops, because here's the 11 in the 11th position. And although he's slated to gain points on Kulwicki and Richmond, because they didn't really have good pit stops, unfortunately for him, the person that he really needs to gain points on is the leader, and Bill Elliott is up here in fourth. And this is looking like an excellent day for Elliott to this point of the race. Yeah, this is pretty much exactly what Elliott wants to see. He wants to see himself inside the top 10 and everyone else not be inside the top 10. This way he can give himself a little bit of a cushion. He knows the next few races after this are probably not going to be kind to him. They weren't kind in 84. They weren't kind in 86. And to be quite honest, they weren't really that kind to him last year either when he won the championship. So he knows, probably better than anyone else here, that he does need to open up a bit of a gap in that championship, or he's probably not going to have much luck winning the thing. So if there's anybody in this entire state that knows that Elliott needs to open up this championship gap, it is definitely him. Everyone is lined up here. We have 22 cars on the lead lap. The last car in the lead lap is the 28 of Davey Allison. Of course, we saw him get caught up in that accident. He was up into fourth. It's an unfortunate consequence, but things happen. We'll see how things go when the race goes green. We're going over the very long turns 3 and 4 right now. Cars come off of turn 4, head down the front straightaway, and green flag is out once again. And it looks like Wallace is going to get a bit of a break going into turn 1. Yeah, he's able to get to the bottom. And the leaders aren't. Whoa! Chad Little, he wants his lap back. Oh boy. The lapped car is fighting with a vengeance here against the 27. How about this? Chad Little will actually get his lap back, and here comes Rob Moroso. He wants his lap back as well. He ain't gonna get it. Several of these drivers, I bet they want their laps back. Here comes Terry Labonte trying to work around people. Mark Martin's also trying to go with him. Rusty Wallace really shouldn't be concerning himself about passing this lap traffic, but here he is. He's doing it. He'll get around Chad Little. Yeah, he needs to let the traffic just get out of his way as time comes. He's got a decent gap going back to Labonte, and an even bigger gap going back to Martin. If you take a look at it, Sterling Marlin's actually pulled into the 4th position. Ricky Rudd, who's, well, not anymore. Now Elliott's moved up into 5th. Like, Ricky Rudd, who's been nowhere, pulls into the 5th position, but now that's just not true anymore. Rudd falls back to 7th. And the person that really needed a good run had a really bad restart. Jeff Bodine falls back to 15th. He's still falling back. Yeah, unfortunately, he did not get the cards falling his way, so I guess we now know exactly what's happening. If he has a good car early on in the race, he's not going to have a good car late on in the race. And if he has a good car, if he has a bad car early on, he's going to have a really good car, really strong car later on. We said earlier on in the broadcast, well, not in this broadcast, but earlier on in the season, we've said it before and we said it again. If you play 6th place every single race, that'll be enough to win you a championship here in NASCAR. I mean, an average finish of 6th is superstar quality. Now, the thing is that you gotta be able to finish better than 6th. You can't just rely on, okay, I'll finish 6th here, 6th there, 6th there, 6th there. You gotta finish better than 6th. Meanwhile, battle for the lead. Trying to scroll up to it. Terry Labonte has overtaken Rusty Wallace. So Terry Labonte to the lead here from Darlington. Martin still trying to get around the lap traffic. There's Eddie Bierschwell in the number 90. He's looking for another 26th place points finish. Meanwhile, Elliott's trying to find a way around Jimmy Spencer. That's not really working out for him. Ken Schrader's having the best race of the season to this point, no doubt about it. And Darlington's not necessarily a track that I would associate with Schrader, but yeah, here he is. And meanwhile, a driver that we said that was struggling through most of the early part of the race, Alan Kulwicki, he's in 8th. He's actually running 2nd out of the championship 4. You can see Bodine way in the back there, finally getting around Phil Parsons. So now Allen, he's up here, but he's got several faster cars behind him. He's got Irvan behind him, Earnhardt behind him, Richmond's behind him. Bodine, once he gets up there, you know, he's back there as well. Bodine's running the worst out of the championship 4 right now, which has been the case for most of the season. Now look at this. I thought that Irvan was going to be able to get a run, but I guess not. Going back to the lead battle. Rusty Wallace has really closed in on this 5 car. I think Labonte was able to use the lap traffic to his advantage. And now Rusty Wallace is trying to come back and say, meh, I'm going to use my speed to my advantage. I think Wallace knows he's got the strongest long run car. And he's trying to take advantage of it. I mean, he's right on the back of the 5. He just hasn't found a good passing opportunity yet. And passing's not an easy thing to do here at Darlington. And it's not that there's a lack of grooves. You can run all over this track, no doubt about it. There's like 20 different ways to run this track. No doubt about it. There's about 20 different ways to run this track, and they're all equally as fast. The thing is that running single file is just so much faster than running side by side. You get side by side, you're going to be running so much slower around this track because of how thin the track is. Can't run the optimal groove if you're running side by side. That's just a fact of the matter. Jeff Bodine is slowly making his way through the field. Mark Martin trying to make his way through lap traffic. Trying to scroll back to a battle for position. Here you go. Alan Kulwicki will pick off Ken Schrader. So Kulwicki will now move into 7th. And a caution flag is out. Caution is out. Leaders will race back to the line. Nope. Caution flag's already out. Never mind. Caution number 2 here from Darlington. It looks like it has nothing to do with Jericho. And we have a little bit of a spin down the back straightaway involving Morgan Shepherd and Dave Marcus. We'll see what happens here. Now this is behind Jeff Bodine. Marcus tried to sneak in where he shouldn't have, and oh, he just turned 15 into the wall. Morgan Shepherd, 48 years old. Dave Marcus. Oh, and Rodney Coombs just goes into the back of the 71, just unable to stop there. So, brake failure there for Rodney Coombs. That's obviously not going to go over well. Meanwhile, we've got a bunch of cars here, so I'm going to assume that the leaders are all on pit road, and indeed they are. The leader off pit road is Terry Labonte, followed by Wallace, Martin, Marlin, Elliott, Rudd, Kulwicki, Schrader, Earnhardt, Irvan. Man, Bodine's pit crew is not delivering today. And oh, we got more problems. I think people trying to get on the track or something. I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Morgan Shepherd's heard some contact going on, but there's some problems getting on the track there. Now, are all of these guys up front here, all these lap cars, are they just not pitting, or are they just opting to pit a lap late on the backstretch? Yep, that's what's going on. So all the backstretch pitters, they'll go down. And Terry Labonte will reassume the lead. Well, he already has the lead, but he'll reassume the front spot on the restart. So Bodine will come out of pit road in 16th. So this race continues to get more and more exciting. More and more layers continue to add up. Lights are out on the pace car. So the lineup side by side again. We'll see if Chad Little tries to get his lap back again. See if see if he'll be just as aggressive on this restart as the last one. Maybe Terry Labonte will get a bad jump. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Cars come off of turn 4. Green flag's in the air. And it looks like the 5's going to clear everyone by far and away. So there's going to be nobody getting back on the lead lap here. Who can get to the bottom first? It looks like Mark Martin found a clearing. And the caution flag's already back out. So now it looks like we're getting to a caution-riddled part of this race. Oh boy, the 11 gets turned going down into turn 1. And oh, JD McDuffie hard off the outside wall. A great save by Jeffrey Bodine. Maybe even a championship winning save. But we'll reanalyze what happened here from a different camera angle. Now watch. McDuffie will get, yep. Man, how lucky did the 11 get, and also the 30 and the 42 went into the wall. And how did Bodine save that car? He was so far down on the track. This is... See if we can really get a zoomed out shot of this, because I don't know if there's going to be any real way to explain this. Now let's see if we can see just how far down the track that 11 car gets. Well, not a good angle. Watch this save, man. Try from this angle. Okay, here you go. He misses the inside wall, doesn't get into the grass. Merges back up. And that's it. He saved it. That was such a close state to the inside pit retaining wall there. And now Labonte's going to have to survive another restart. So now it's Jeff Bodine that has had the bad luck. And because he had the bad luck with the one race, considering he hasn't necessarily had any amazing luck, this race might actually just kill the 11's championship's hopes. If he's legitimately going to stay back there in the 22nd position, this will absolutely kill the championship hopes of Jeff Bodine. And the way that he's been able to run, he's got to be able to run everywhere. He's got to be able to run consistently everywhere. So this will lead us to a restart with 30 laps to go. Your top 10 is going to be Terry Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Sterling Marlin, Bill Elliott, the best of the championship contenders, Ricky Rudd, Alan Kulwicki, Ken Schrader, Ernie Irvan, and Tim Richmond. The only championship contender that's not in the top 10 is Jeffrey Bodine. He is currently in the 22nd position. That was still an incredible save by Jeff Bodine. He should be counting his lucky stars right now that he was able to rein that car back in, not hit the inside wall, not get into the grass and spin her out and then get up into the track. Jeff Bodine, very, very lucky. And now he's not going to have to worry about starting with the lapped cars on the inside of him. So remember, only 22 cars on the lead lap. And we are green again. And Labonte got another great restart. So Labonte's going to pull way ahead of everyone. Who's going to be able to get to the inside first? I think it's going to be Martin again. I think Martin's got the lucky gap again. Second restart in a row. He's able to get right to the bottom off of turn 2. Oh, look at Wallace. He was just able to power to the outside of Jeff Purvis there, and he will get to the bottom. Lap traffic playing a little bit nicer here this time around. Keep an eye on how quickly the 11 gets through the field here. You can see him all the way back. He's the all-red car. So just try to keep an eye on the 11. That's how he tries to cut through the field here to try to at least salvage a top 10. Terry Labonte, he's pulled out to a 1-second advantage over Rusty Wallace. Labonte's had only about a moderate amount of success. He has a win, but that's about it. That's the only significant thing that he's done this season. He hasn't really done much else. It's not like, I guess he's been sneakily inside the top 10, but really he hasn't done much. But here he is out in front here at Darlington. And he's making a case for himself that's saying, hey, I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here. I still exist. Meanwhile, we are going to have one hell of a battle for second. 3 drivers that are desperately fighting to have at least a salvageable final third of the season, and the points leader, who really, if you ask me, is also trying to fight for a salvageable final third of the season, because we all know how weak Elliott is in the final third of the season. It's well documented that he does not perform well, and I thought for a second there that Elliott blew up. Yeah, I saw him pull down to the inside. I thought I saw smoke coming out of the engine. I was about to say, there's no way that Elliott just blew up. It's happened before, too. So we're monitoring this situation. Sterling Marlin looking for his second top 5 of the season. Looks like he's going to get passed here by Rudd and Elliott. Jeff Bodine is already all the way up to 14th position. And he's not stopping. He's with the other championship contenders too. So Bodine is not stopping by any means. And it looks like he might be getting pretty close to getting inside the top 10 here. Yeah, Bodine's not wasting any time. He wants to go. He blows by Tim Richmond as if he's standing still. Same thing with Kulwicki. Richmond just got out of the way there. I think he knows, like, how fast that 11 car is. Meanwhile, Richmond will get right back around the 7. That's a good example of give and take right there. He knew that he probably wouldn't get... he knew that holding up the 11 probably wasn't going to get him anything. And he knew he'd probably get the 7 right back. And maybe he'll get the 11 back. Nope. Phil Parsons not having a good line around the track. And he's going to drop outside of the top 10. So you know who is going to be inside of the top 10? That did not take very long at all. Well, it's going to take one... Nope, he's in the top 10. That did not take very long at all. Jeff Bodine inside the top 10. Davey Allison's going to get shuffled back. That's the second time he's going to get shuffled outside of the top 10 today. Meanwhile, Jeff Bodine, he is just pushing hard. It's almost like that spin reinvigorated this team. Sometimes events like that can really light a fire underneath you if they are performed correctly. And right now, this team is just driving as hard as they can. Are they going to go 3 wide? I think Bodine's trapped now. Yeah, Bodine's... No, he got lucky. Richmond let him in. Rick Mast just needs to get out of the way here. Like, I know you won at Talladega, but it's... Come on, man. It's Talladega. Your lap traffic. You got to move out of the way here at Darlington. I don't think Rick Mast has any intentions of moving out of the way. And to be quite honest, he's not that slow of a car. I mean, they caught Darrell Waltrip with this 98 car leading. So Rick Mast does not have a slow car. Not by any means. He just unfortunately got caught. And there you go. There's someone that unfortunately got caught. Sterling Marlin. So that'll put Elliott into the top 5. Meanwhile, Terry Labonte, he's gotten out in front here. He's been untouchable ever since he's gotten out to the front. 2-second lead. No one's been able to reel him in. They're thinking, oh, Rusty Wallace has the car to beat. Maybe on the very long run, but this isn't necessarily an extremely long run. You'll be surprised how long of a run 20 laps is at this track. 20 laps can be an eternity at this track. And there goes the 11 around the 17. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Jeff Bodine wants to go. And at this point, he's only going to be 89 points out of the lead. If the race ends the way it is right now. Jeff Bodine, no wins on the season. Having the best year of his career. And I honestly can't believe I'm saying no wins and best year of career in the same sentence for Jeff Bodine. But right now, that definitely appears to be the case. What this really reminds me of going back to 1985 Where Neil Bonnet, the only race that he ever won was the North Wilkesboro race. And he was in the lead in the championship for a ton of races until he really hit the cliff in the final few races of the year. I mean, you hate to see people get the hook like that, but Neil Bonnet was the man to beat in 1985. It was like he was running second, third, fourth every single race. He was just stupid consistent. He'd never win, but he'd always be right there. Looks like Tim Richmond is going to lose a spot, maybe. Can Irvan get there? Yeah, Irvan's got him. Doesn't look like Kulwicki's going to get him, though. Kulwicki's going to try. He ain't going to get there. Now, Jeff Bodine's got a long way to go. But he is running a lot faster. He's the fastest car on the track right now, 148 miles an hour. Nobody else is even in 147. So Bodine way faster than everyone on that lap. Now he's got to watch himself. He can't use up his stuff. He can't use up his stuff too much, because if he ends up doing that, he'll wear out his tires before he can even get up there, and then what's the point? Well, the point is that Bill Elliott's about to take over the 4th position over Rusty Wallace, and Elliott continues to look like he's going to expand his points lead once again. And expanding a points lead is pretty difficult when all 4 of the drivers are inside of the top 10 week in and week out. That is just stupid consistent. And you can see here all 4 of the championship contenders inside the top 10. Elliott 4th, Bodine 7th, Richmond 8th, Kulwicki 9th. So they're all here. And we can see Sterling Marlin getting underneath Rusty Wallace. Marlin's going to try to take that position away. This is one of Marlin's more favorite tracks, so it's really not a surprise that he's doing well here. Here comes Ricky Rudd for 2nd. Not going to get there. This 2016 is a lot better than a lot of people think. I'm just going to say that right now. This 2016 is a lot better than a lot of people think. Ricky Rudd, he was supposed to be out of this ride, but they signed him on for a 1-year only extension, which I just find baffling. And, you know, they haven't done half bad. Rudd's going to slide underneath the 6. And Ricky Rudd will take the 2nd position away. Jeff Bodine continues to be the fastest car around this track. It's just stupid every single lap. He's got the fastest lap. It's crazy. Except that most recent one, because the lap car held him up, but man, that 11 car is flying. I don't think he's flying to the point where he's going to catch any of these guys. What do we have here? What, 9 laps to go? I mean, Bodine's probably not going to catch any of these guys. 2 seconds is a long time. You can see just how large 2 seconds is. Marlin trying to pass the 9 of Elliott. Elliott says, So, no position for Marlin. Hey, you gotta at least grade him for effort. He's trying like hell. Marlin's trying like hell to get around Elliott. I don't know if he's got enough car underneath him. Man, every single time I look back to that 11, he is closer. Trying to get around the wounded car of Dave Marcus. Remember earlier, Marcus got involved in that incident with Morgan Shepherd. If we take a look at the 3 drivers that have retired in this race, all due to mechanical failures, Derek Cope, Lake Speed, and Joe Ruttman, all behind the wall due to mech failures. Meanwhile, we got another battle for second. And Rudd pulls away. So Rudd unable to do... Martin unable to do anything. Man, I'm getting my drivers mixed up. Martin unable to do anything. Terry Labonte's 4.5 seconds ahead of everyone. So Labonte's just a stupid amount in front of everyone. And Labonte's should just cruise to victory here. The only person that's been catching the leader is that 11 car. I can't believe I said that. He's reeled them in 0.4 of a second over the past few laps. Like, he's reeling in the leader. It's insane. That time he ran an identical lap to the leader. Going back up to the battle for second. Oh, Rodney Coombs is getting in the way. Let's see how they deal with this. Oh, Elliott's going to love this. This is going to give Elliott a chance to get 10 more points. This is not what Jeff Bodine wanted to see. Now Elliott is here. 4 laps to go. Bodine is coming fast, man. I really hate to give a lot of the coverage to one driver, but he is coming. Martin down to the inside of Rudd. That outside lane going into turns 3 and 4 is a little bit overpowered right now, but Martin's able to sneak in coming off of turn 4. That might give a position to Elliott as well. 3 laps to go. There goes Elliott as well. Elliott to 3rd. And here comes Rusty Wallace down to the inside of Sterling Marlin. Will he be able to pass Marlin? Oh, Marlin. We got the pit road. We got people coming to pit road. 26, 94, 27, 11, all down on pit road with 2 laps to go. Oh my. Elliott's gonna battle Martin for second now. That's insane. Oh, looks like the 5's going to stay out on the track. 1 more lap to go. Battle for second. Martin's just blown Elliott away. And Richmond's the next most competitive car. That's got to really hurt for Jeff Bodine. He was running so unbelievably well. And here he is. He's going to finish on the tail end of the lead lap in the 18th position, 17th position. Heartbreaking. And Terry Labonte is going to take the checkered flag here from Darlington. He will win the Southern 500. No $100,000 bonus for Martin. No bonus for Irvan and no bonus for Waltrip either, though all 3 of those drivers did finish inside the top 10, and I think that's the first time that's actually ever happened. I think we've only once ever had an instance of a driver coming into this race eligible to win the $1 million, and I think that was in '88 with Earnhardt.
And now the point standings are going to be wildly different. So here are the final results from not Richmond, Darlington. Richmond's going to be the next race. I see Richmond pop up. I'm like, oh, Richmond. No, not Richmond. Anyways, here are the point standings after the race. Say Terry Labonte, he's still there in the 5th position, picking up his 2nd win of the season. Elliott continues to just inch and claw his way further and further away from Kulwicki, Richmond, and Bodine. It's now a little bit of a climb for them. Looks like the big drop-off now happens with Wallace, and we've got 8 drivers still within 300 points. Ron Moroso cracks inside the top 20 in points, and that is pretty good for him. So, yeah, Moroso isn't doing terrible, as is right now. And you can see, yeah, there's the battle for the 25th position. Makes you wonder, oh, there's Eddie in 30th. Anyways, we'll see you next time for the Miller High Life 400 from Richmond.